When the links first came out, I kind of resigned myself to the fact that it was very much likely going to leave. Then after winning the league, that kind of week in the lead up to the cup final, I allowed myself to talk myself into thinking maybe there's a chance he is going to stay. There's unfinished business for the Champions League. He's been building this squad for the last 2 seasons and we're primed to really go and push on under him. But over the last 48 hours, reality has kind of set back in again and it sounds like basically all but confirmed. Celtic are granting permission. It feels like terms are all agreed and it's the writing's on the wall with it. I'm obviously gutted as a Celtic fan to be losing what's probably been one of the most inspirational managers we've ever had. But I wish Big Ange all the success in the world down south, and I hope he is the man that does give Tottenham trophies. Not because I care about Tottenham, but because I want the big man to do well, and I definitely don't want to see him fail. So I'll be eagerly following his progress this season, and anytime he wants to come back, the doors are wide open as far as I'm concerned, you know. Football and Celtic, but wait for no one, and we've got to be going on the front foot to get a replacement in nice and quickly. Now, when I first seen the links and was thinking straight away, who could we possibly be getting linked to or who might the club identify to get brought in, I was quite lost at first. I didn't feel like there was any obvious replacements because Ange himself was not an obvious appointment and maybe the club will look further afield for his successor. Now, make no mistake about it, this is one of the most important managerial appointments the club has been asked to make in recent times, if not the most important. The squad that we've got at our disposal now are all in prime ages. We've all been at the club for a significant portion of time, and with us being guaranteed entry into the Champions League group stages this season, appointing the right manager swiftly will be a huge factor in how good that this squad can go on and become while they're at Celtic. There will be incomings and outgoings, and with the transfer budget that we clearly have at our disposal, and if players are going to be sold, the funds that will be there to replace them. Any tactical change we're going to have to make with a new manager, we have the ability to be agile with that if they're appointed swiftly. Now, we've been familiar with the way Ange has set the team up over the last couple of seasons, and this looks to be basically the strongest 11 that we've had out. Matt O'Reilly and Rio Hatate have shown huge versatility in these midfield positions to join the front line and press on and retrieve the ball from defence or drop in and make things a bit tighter whenever we're, backs against the wall kind of moments in the match. But as we've seen under Postecoglou, it's not just been about the starting 11, but really we have like 16 players that play every single match, and that's been a huge weapon at our disposal. And because so many of the players that we've brought to the club at this point are so versatile, there's fantastic foundations there really for whoever does come in. The favourite for the job as I speak to you now is Brendan Rodgers, and if he was appointed tomorrow, I don't think he would have too much trouble not only picking up from where Postecoglou's left off with the transfer model of buying prospects and bringing them on, but the free-flowing attacking football that this team has been building towards over the last 2 years, and I'm sure he would make his own kind of personal adjustments in midfield. We've seen before when his time at Celtic and at Leicester that sometimes he can prefer to have two guys sitting and having a proper number 10 in the attacking midfield position, and depending on incomings and outgoings, who knows how exactly it would balance out. But again, the amount of quality players that would fit a Brendan Rodgers system in this squad cannot be ignored. Personally, I can't get excited about appointing Brendan Rodgers because I do feel that, for lack of a better term, he broke my heart last time he left us. So, it's one of those ones where I definitely wouldn't begrudge him returning, but I struggle to get excited about it. The second favourite of the bookies at the moment is Jesse Marsch, and I cannot stress my protest enough at this. I do not think Jesse Marsch is the man to pick up the mantle here at Celtic and really progress us on. Sure, he's got a credible enough record in MLS and even with Salzburg, but I watched this guy firsthand in his entire managerial stint at RB Leipzig, and honestly, the only way to describe that team succinctly for you is toothless. They created bunches of chances, and this proper, Red Bull energy drink football tactics of making a little box in midfield to control the game, use the wide fullbacks really to give you width out there, and having a mega press of a striker up here looking for tap-ins and running off the shoulder to create chances, along with a back three that can develop into having fullback positions in them depending on what side of the pitch that the ball is on, which on paper is definitely something that, is cool, and I would very much like Celtic to play that way depending on what manager was brought in. At Leeds, he played a bit more of a flat midfield three in there, and with a big focus on work ethic and energy with guys like Tyler Adams and apparently Weston McKennie as well when he was brought in. So, he has a wee bit of versatility to his game, but he is very much a Red Bull guy, so it's all about that energy drink football, high press, high octane, turn the ball over quickly, create chaos, create opportunities to go and score. But like I say, from his time at Leipzig, the team couldn't score. They were creating all sorts of chances and he couldn't get them to kill games off, to kill teams off, to take chances. Our problem last year in the Champions League was just that. So no to Marsch for me, please. Now, my personal favourite tip guy I would like to just get an interview with Celtic at this point is Igor Tudor. Now, the former Croatia international Juventus centre-back got his first job recently managing Hellas Verona, and, they didn't do that great. But I've had the fortune of watching them just by happenstance, and honestly, they were so exciting to watch. They played a really attacking 3-4-3, and with the squad we've got at the moment, I could see him playing like Daisen Maeda is like the right mid, the right wing back here, and it is all about attacking. It's all about just getting as many forwards into the final third as possible and having a real outlet out there in the wide areas with the defensive players covering over in kind of half-back four situations, with the two centre midfielders going around as a pair, controlling and dictating the game, depending on which wide player is, bringing the ball out, as it were, and creating the attack. He was the Marseille manager this year. They narrowly finished out on automatic qualification for the Champions League, and he's left the club under mysterious circumstances. There is some links to the Juve job, but Allegri is still in at Juve. So I would definitely want Celtic to phone him and say, hey, let's talk about this. And the powers at Celtic, the guys that know way more than me about this stuff, I'm sure, maybe they can make their own assessment. But great level of football, a high level guy, had a very, notable playing career. And already with his first two jobs, Verona doing pretty well, and then Marseille getting them into the Champions League qualification rounds, finishing third this year, which no one had them on for pre-season. Him being a free agent and being available, I definitely think he's somebody we should look at. And I think we've got the squad that we could take somebody like him on board and, he could do really well with us. Another one is Little Napoleon, which is Marcelo Gallardo, formerly of River Plate. For me, thinking about the Champions League and thinking about the things that were great about Postecoglou was Postecoglou won stuff before he came to Celtic. He won with Australia. He won in his native division, which, in the Austrian A-League, I know is not the highest calibre of football, but he went on and he won in Japan as well. And he had a clear record of winning divisions, of winning competitions. And as long as the manager is able to scale up, then they obviously understand winning strategies and winning tactics and how to manage a team in that pressure environment. Postecoglou proved that, and now we're going to go and see if he can do that at Spurs. And Marcelo Gallardo, honestly, he's somebody I would want to test out and see if he's got it. Copa Sudamerica, Copa Libertadores, Argentinian division, Argentinian Cups out the hoo-ha as well. And the South American credentials, they might not sound amazing, right, because it's River Plate. But honestly, the huge divide in finances now between Brazil and Argentina, it's not too far removed from Scotland in the Premier League, if I'm being quite frank. And Marcelo Gallardo was all about attacking football and had amazing young prospects that he brought through to win these huge competitions, and then were sold into Europe for huge sums of money. You might have heard of them. Spider-Man Julian Alvarez and Enzo Fernandez, both now, of course, in the Premier League. And there's a few other guys that, I won't bore you with, but he's unattached at the moment. He left at the end of his contract, citing he just wanted to take a wee bit of a break and decompress from, he was at River Plate for a fair length of time. Normally, a manager like this, we would see end up at like Benfica or in Serie A or La Liga or something like that, at one of those mid-range teams, and then they become flavour of the month because they get a great Europa League run or they win a cup or something. This guy's available though now, and I think if we phoned him up and we were giving him the opportunity to come straight into Champions League group stages with a squad like this, that could be really exciting and very ambitious. Enzo Maresca has also been linked with the job, and he's been linked with the Celtic job a couple of times now. He's very firmly a CFG employee. He's currently back at Man City for a second stint as I think he's like Pep's assistant now, formerly under 23 coach. He tried being a first team manager. I think it was with Parma and Serie B when he was previously linked to us. And anyway, he's been kind of all over the place trying to forge his own managerial career. I'm not too excited about it, but because he has like a CFG employee type, we get that kind of consistency. And, forgive me for throwing these two guys together, but we've had with Ronny Deila and with Ange Postecoglou, they bring a style of football, and, if you have the right players there for them, you can guarantee that this is the way that they will play, because this is the way that they're made. So Enzo Maresca is particularly being at Man City at the moment. I would fancy him to do a pretty good job at keeping Taylor in as this inverted fullback and really keeping that strategy that we've been developing under Postecoglou going, and really picking up from where Ange left off. So I'm not mad excited about it, but if this is what happened, I could get behind it quite easily. And then one that seems to be in the offing, one that seems to be maybe amongst the favourites from some of the accounts, if you listen to internets and forums and Twitter spheres and all that good stuff, is Sanchez over at Girona. Now, I've watched so much La Liga this year, so much of Girona this year, that I really found this surprising, because Girona, sure, they've probably overperformed by most people's kind of expectations, but finishing in the top half for a team like Girona, who are backed by Man City, backed by CFG, also another Man City guy we're talking about here. They've played in this kind of 4-5-1 shape where, you know, they've had a deep line defensive midfielder, a powerhouse, which is Romeo, formerly of Southampton and Chelsea. And then he's played some really nice playmaking midfielders in front of him who are allowed to play kind of Xavi and Iniesta style, if you like, and go all over the pitch, linking up play again with wide players that come really high up, and they are basically strikers that he plays in these wide positions, and he wants them to get up in with the attack that's going to be created by the play of the midfielders, with a striker, either a target man in Stuani or someone a bit more like Kyogo and Tati Castellanos that can play on the shoulder and keep the press on when the ball is in this defensive third tier. Fullbacks very important as well in this Girona team. Miguel Gutierrez and Arnau Martinez, two players that I'm very fond of, and they've had great seasons under this guy. So, like, they've played well, they've done okay, but it's not like Girona are a mad surprise to be in the top half. And I say, if you look at the roster of players they've had, they're all pretty talented. So it's not that he's bad or anything. It just surprised me, in that sense. We're going into Champions League group stages. I'm thinking about guys like Marcelo Gallardo and co, guys that win stuff and guys that really could be quite inspirational. This guy could be great, but it gives me like De Zerbi vibes almost, if that makes sense. A very good guy on the touchline as well, and nothing wrong with him. I'm a fan of him, but I just just surprised more than anything. I think there's a lot of good candidates out there, and like I said at the tip-off to the video, I think it's more about it being a swift appointment, because a lot of the guys that are linked to the job and a lot of guys that are available to do the job could very easily pick up where Ange is leaving us off from, and we can continue the momentum. We can go into this transfer window very strong with a very clear identity and a real attack at those group stages, because this has got to be the focus. This is why, this is what Celtic fans want, is to go into Europe and feel ambitious, feeling like we can do it again. We're indestructible at home. Anything can happen. And we've got quality of players, the ambitious manager, the style of play on the pitch where we're playing football the Celtic way at the highest level possible. That's what we want. And it feels like Ange was bringing us to the cusp of that. I really don't want the club to drop the ball and do something that's called Jesse Marsch. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Maybe there's been some breaking rumours or news since this has been recorded and we've missed somebody out. Let me know in the comment section down below. And yeah, until next time, hail, hail.